Wait, what? His birthday is this week?
You bolted from your seat in the lunchroom, eyeing two fellow classmates who, like you, decided to intern at the same agency.
Yeah, that's the word going around,
spoke one nonchalantly.
Heard it from the green-haired dude the other day, mumbling about getting him a present. What would you get this guy anyway?
Mocked the other, her voice a trill, while she chewed into her lunch. It was April Fool's and Easter not too long ago, recalling that eventful afternoon, pulling a small prank on the 3 UA students, with the help of outside forces as well. It brought a smile to your face, hoping that the boys found that not all the letters were completely empty. But you've noticed a change ever since you made friends with the hero students. Especially from your partner who hailed the management course at the same school.
I don't want you hanging around the hero students here. They're terrible. Especially him.
You knew he had a tendency to talk down about the hero students after common knowledge that they were considered prodigal compared to past student attendees. He had a distaste for those glorified on a silver platter. But his words not only confused you, they became hurtful. It felt dictatorial in nature, controlling and limited, deciding on who you were permitted to hang around with. It had only been a few months now. He couldn't feel that strongly about his own fellow classmates.
Now that you know, I bet I know what you're planning to do,
teased one of your fellows, her lips turning into a teasing grin.
You've been around the guy for some time. Is something going on? What? No, nothing like that.
You protested hastily.
We're just acquaintances.
He yells at you and calls you names,
mentioned the other, his eyes drowsy and apathetic.
That's a surefire sign of interest.
He calls everyone names,
you clarified, recalling a few tasteful ones to mind.
Look, there's no denying the fact that the two of you had gotten close,
piped the trill voice of your fellow classmate.
Bakugou looks like someone who would murder with a glare, but he hasn't killed you yet.
Huh. You sighed in defeat. You could see where the conversation was going, and it wasn't in your favor. Again, ever since you've become acquainted with a handful of UA's top hero students, your own classmates from your school became your personal interrogators about it. Non-stop.
I'm just going to figure something out during the week,
you groaned.
Whoa, wait. You're really getting him something for his birthday?
Questioned that trill voice again.
Well, I feel bad if I don't. And he wasn't against the chocolates I gave him before, so… Wait! Hold up! Chocolates? Seriously?
The look in her eyes gleamed with surprise and excitement, realizing the words you nonchalantly spoke out of context.
Wait! For Easter! I made chocolates for him and his friends for Easter!
You clarified with a nervous yell. The conversation soon derailed from assumptions to brainstorming birthday gifts, leaving you in the troublesome hands of your classmates before the lunch break was over. The relief you felt hearing Kito's voice eased the anxiety that brewed, thanks to their excitable suggestions. Learning more about Bakugou's birthday came with a few potholes and roadblocks. There was the whole trying not to look conspicuous ordeal while collecting information from Midoriya about it, whenever you had the opportunity to find him in the agency. At the very least, you discovered what day his birthday landed on, but when it came to gifts, it was almost a challenge in itself. Midoriya, unfortunately, was of no help, having already tried his best to figure out a gift himself. You contemplated on asking Todoroki, but thought against it after seeing the few interactions between Bakugou and himself. The days passed by, soon nearing Bakugou's birthday that made you sick with worry that you didn't have anything planned. It didn't help that your fellow interning classmates constantly barraged you with redundant questions and hardly any answers for your predicament. To you, buying something material just didn't feel right. And hosting a party would be something his classmates would arrange back at UA. Though, you chuckled wondering how he would take that kind of experience. Arrogant, stubborn, angry. And yet intelligent, self-aware, and initiated. Mostly his anger was the focal point of his personality, recalling very few teasing words from your classmates. Yes, it was definitely his anger. Suddenly, a thought crossed your mind. You immediately pulled out your phone and made a call for an appointment. Your eyes brightened as did your smile, making plans to ensure that it didn't impede on your day or anyone else's, especially Bakugou. You hoped he would enjoy the day, at least.
Ugh, where are you taking me, lightweight?
Complained Bakugou, eyeing you from behind.
It's not too far, and I think you'd enjoy the place.
You spoke with a smile, hopping with your backpack.
I've booked a 3-hour session, depending how long you'd like to stay for.
It better be worth it. It was either this or whatever those extras have planned back at the dorms.
You nervously laughed under your breath. As you had thought, his classmates had something planned for him, but you heard from Midoriya that Bakugou decided on plans elsewhere, which in turn postponed the celebrations by a couple of hours. That nervous laugh returned again, having admitted to Midoriya that may and truly was your doing. Even so, you both agreed to keep tabs with each other to ensure that Bakugou's class was ready for him when he returned to the dorms. Bakugou stared at your back while you led him through Musutafu. Aside from the agency, he had never been alone with you. Many times had been amongst friends, or others that he felt got in his way. But now, watching you from behind, he was truly alone. He didn't stop the nagging thought in his mind about your recent interactions over the past week, especially with Midoriya. He wallowed having seen you actively sort out the green-haired boy, cheerful and pleasant. It had only been a few months since he met you, and he still couldn't quite shake this feeling. Upon asking if he was free on his birthday's afternoon, Bakugou agreed to avoid his classmates. And yet, he was thrilled to be with you, despite your clumsy tendencies and your eccentric quirk. After the day had ended with Endeavor's agency, the both of you had been trekking the city for half an hour, stopping by a cafe on the way. It was a usual takeaway of beverages while still following you, but Bakugou still mulled over his emotions, and was growing irritated with every step.
Ta-da!
you exclaimed with a flurry of your hands. Bakugou stopped to turn his eye towards the sign above. The building seemed run down. Lack of a better word. The warehouse was enormous, yet it seemed that it hadn't had maintenance, nor care, for years. His lips curled into a sneer, reading the weather-beaten sign, aged from disuse.
Pompeii smash,
read Bakugou with an unimpressed look on his face.
Don't let the name fool you.
You chirped.
I'm sure it's as good as it sounds.
like an All Might super move ripoff.
Let's just head in.
You pulled at the doors with a creak, followed by Bakugou straight into the giant warehouse to find yourselves in a small lobby, with an attendant and a set of double doors. Bakugou stared through the small windows of the doors, spotting an assortment of junk everywhere. But it wasn't just junk. It was piles of obsolete objects, from unwanted furniture and appliances to massive beaten vehicles and materials. Piles stretched over the expanse of the warehouse, everything a conglomerate mess, despite them all being neatly organized into sections.
We're here for the explosive rage arena?
You asked the attendant, soon receiving 2 pairs of goggles, gloves, and boots, slipping your pairs on. Bakugou stared at you perplexed, until he spotted a smile on your face, slipping your fingers into the thick gloves that almost engulfed them.
I thought maybe you could have some mindless fun for a while.
You explained.
You looked pretty stressed out lately.
Who said I was stressed?
Barked Bakugou.
No one. I mean, I thought you might enjoy yourself here.
What is this place?
It's a rage room warehouse. I ordered the largest one.
You sheepishly replied while affixing your safety goggles.
Your weapon of choice is inside, and you can destroy whatever you want, within reason, and without quirks.
What's the point if I can't blow something up?
You shrugged happily while handing over his equipment to him, bubbling with excitement.
Ready to smash things? I call sledgehammer.
A few minutes and a short while deciding on the weapon of choice later. Bakugou watched while you heaved and exerted your strength into the sledgehammer, throwing it into a large printer and destroying its bulky size. At first, he questioned your choice for the most heaviest weapon, only to realize it was a tactical decision. The weight of its head anchored you to the floor, as long as you kept your feet on the ground. Bakugou stared at the wall of available weapons, from crowbars to frying pans. Anything you could swing was for the taking in this era package you purchased, ready to swap and try. He opted for a classic though, an iron baseball bat, feeling its weight in his grip. The sounds of objects obliterating from your swings echoed around the large space, watching you move onto an old coffee table that had been abused one too many times. You destroyed it in no time, splintering it into pieces and feeling the strain in your shoulders from all the inertia you were throwing around.
You call that a swing?
Mocked Bakugou with the bat on his shoulder.
Hey, this is really heavy, you know?
You breathed with a heavy pant, exhausted from the few swings you had successfully destroyed a piece or two.
And I don't see you swinging that bat around. Why don't you show me how it's done?
Gladly.
Bakugou smirked at the thought while he strode towards you, baseball bat ready. You watch his eyes stare at you before he strode past, soon making a running jump towards the shell of a car behind you. The bat crushed into the car's body, splitting the roof open and leaving the vehicle bent and twisted. Shards flew around, immediately covering your face instinctively until you saw the result of Bakugou's strength. The car was obliterated, split in twain, all because of one bat and Bakugou. It felt timeless, watching his sheer strength alone without his quirk. He made it look effortless, but all that strength came from somewhere. Bakugou landed before the now demolished car, still smirking at his handiwork.
Now that's a...
He suddenly felt you rush past him with sledgehammer in tow, its heavy head grazing against the floor of the warehouse before you swung upwards. With a yell, you collided into a tall glass cabinet, its shards spraying above in a kaleidoscope of light. It felt effortless. The weight of the sledgehammer lightened on its ascent. You smiled brightly at the release of the weight and tension until the follow-through occurred. The sledgehammer took you down with it, falling onto your backside before you shielded yourself from the spray of glass that followed after.
Ow!
You spoke through gritted teeth, looking up at Bakugou, who stared down at you with his baseball bat in hand.
Klutz.
He spoke with a smirk.
Oh, is that another one in your repertoire of nicknames?
No, it's just the truth.
You pouted at his statement before you found yourself floating inches from the floor, twisting around to spot the sledgehammer a distance away from your blind swing. A tug at your shirt brought you up to your feet, finding Bakugou directing your body before he handed you his baseball bat.
Here, let me show you how you're supposed to swing,
he suggested.
We have completely different weapons.
You reasoned.
Same principle.
You found the bat in your hands, gripping onto its hilt warmed from Bakugou's hands earlier before his hands moved onto yours. His arms encircled you while he directed your body, swinging back and forth while you felt the weight of the bat swing along with you.
You push too much in the swing that you lose the follow-through,
continued Bakugou, still swinging the bat to and fro in your hands.
That's why you fell on your ass. If you focus on a point, and only that point, rather than throw around your weight, you can feel where your control is. That way, when you swing, you can feel the movement in your trajectory.
The bat whipped in the air every so often while Bakugou's arms swung faster. You felt the inertia with his demonstration, feeling his arms tensed and his hands gripped with every swing. That heat returned around his vicinity, much like that session again. You figured it was the way his body must have operated. After all, he was extremely explosive. Soon, he slowly released you from his hold, leaving you with the baseball bat while he picked up the sledgehammer still laying on the ground. You realized that the iron baseball bat had considerable weight. Lighter than the sledgehammer, but enough to keep you grounded.
Whoever destroys the least items in this room owes the winner a day at Wookiees,
stated Bakugou with a grin.
What?
I'll take the handicap,
he continued with the sledgehammer in his hands.
That's an advantage,
you exclaimed.
If I can break a car with a baseball bat, you could do the same,
reasoned Bakugou.
Besides, it's my birthday. I get to make the rules.
You couldn't argue against that. This was your gift to him. You huffed with a baseball bat in hand, accepting his terms, now filled with determination to win this impromptu challenge.
Ready to smash things?
You asked with a smirk. A couple of hours in resulted in massive destruction, all by using nothing but the weapons available. To no surprise, Bakugou won his own challenge, utilizing his quirk more so to speed through the room rather than use his explosive power to destroy. You were shocked when he had done so, realizing that the clause and waiver did not mention using quirks outside of destroying things. Still, the both of you reviewed and oversaw the destruction you caused, finding many pieces of furniture destroyed and a few handful of vehicles, including a van, obliterated into nothing. Nearing the end of the session, handing back your gloves, goggles, and boots to the attendant, they bade you a farewell and hoped to see you very soon. Both Bakugou and yourself made your way back towards UA afterwards, admitting to the blonde that it was on the way towards your home. You had quickly texted Midoriya about the plan, hoping that they'd be ready for Bakugou as soon as he arrived.
So, you've been there before?
Asked Bakugou, catching your ear from your thoughts.
That attendant looked like they knew you.
Huh? Oh, yeah. I've had a handful of sessions there.
You admitted.
It's a great stress reliever.
For someone who's a regular, you're useless.
Hey!
What do you have to be stressed about?
His question took you off guard, turning your eye away from him, wondering what to say. You had only known him over the past few months, and he had been just as cryptic about his life. Was it wise to discuss your own problems on his birthday, no less?
Fine, don't tell me.
Grumbled Bakugou, his eyes staring ahead.
No, I mean, it's not like that.
You spoke, hoping that you hadn't struck a nerve somehow.
It's just... there are times I needed to vent, and there's no one I could vent to. So, Pompeii Smash was the next best thing.
So your gift is self-serving?
No!
You sighed under your breath, rolling your shoulders.
I just noticed that you've been stressed over the week, so I thought this would be a great chance to let that all out. I mean, we hardly spoke to each other this week. I thought something was weighing on your mind.
Bakugou stared at you, surprised that you had hit the nail on the head, but also because of your obliviousness to the reason why. Of course he was stressed, more so angered and frustrated that you had been hanging around Midoriya most of the week.
I know that feeling.
You continued, catching his ear.
It's frustrating when someone doesn't agree with you respectfully. Like, you can disagree with each other, but you don't have to dictate it. I've just been feeling like that lately, so sorry if it felt self-serving.
Bakugou stared at you quizzically, wondering exactly what you just described. Aside from your internship, he didn't have any knowledge of your school, or your friends, or even your partner.
I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
You continued again.
You look a little more relaxed already.
Well, you owe me a day out at Wookiees,
he stated with an upturned frown.
You better keep your word.
On my honor.
You quipped with a salute, rolling your shoulders with your backpack. Suddenly, you watched Bakugou stop before he pulled the backpack from your shoulders, throwing it over his, and soon wrapping his arms back onto yours, pushing you back onto the ground.
You don't want to get stiff,
motioned Bakugou, still with eyes ahead.
Last thing I need is to babysit you.
You never met his eye, yet you beamed with a smile while you wrapped your arm around his waist.
Happy birthday, Bakugou.
You hummed, only to hear the grunt escape from his lips. Thank you for tuning in to another fanfiction reading. If you like what I do or would just prefer to fall asleep to my voice, please hit that like button, ring that bell, and subscribe to my channel. Happy birthday, Bakugou. I did enjoy writing this one. Yes, it is a continuation off of the belated Star-Crossed Fools video as well. So I hope to write, I guess, a continuation on from here and see how this prequel of sorts flows through time. I guess there had been a few requests where listeners would like to see them more in high school rather than the pro hero self. But I guess it depends on which AU we are focusing on in that. If I do write more, you will most likely see it on this channel at some point, but right now I think I'm just more on this Bakugou prequel, if any. I do have a handful of stories I've actually written out, so hopefully I can get that sorted to record, edit, and upload onto this channel. Otherwise, thank you for visiting. I hope to hear from you soon, next we meet.